You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, brought to you by the Oat Company and Covered Bridge Chips. And now, here's two guys who stand down on Water Street in the sweltering heat every day waiting for the Mr. Softy truck, Evan and Joe.
I'm Joe Ticotsky down in New Haven, Connecticut.
I'm Evan McFarlane up here in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, where summer has hit full force. It is hot.
And you're watching episode 85 of Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, sponsored not only by the Oat Company of St. John's, Newfoundland, but believe it or not, we now have a second sponsor, Covered Bridge Potato Chips from right here in New Brunswick. Covered Bridge is a fourth-generation family business located in Heartland, New Brunswick, home to the world's longest covered bridge in the world. And they use local dark russet potatoes, which gives the chips their golden brown color. Ev, what kind of chip will you be trying today?
Before I show, did you have conversations with them about this? Like, do they know how many chips I actually eat? Because this is not a good deal for them. But, man, if you can get your hands on a bag of these are hard to get. So they are called storm chips. And what it is barbecue, salt and vinegar, ketchup, and dill pickle all in one bag mixed together.
Very cool. Yeah, so they're all. It's like a multi flavor.
It is like the New Brunswick party mix.
There you go. Are you going to give it a shot or?
Oh, I'm like halfway through the bag while I was waiting for you to get on.
Okay.
Yes.
They also have sweet potato, creamy dill pickle, Atlantic lobster, and Brandon Sherrod's favorite, all dressed. But today on air, I will be sampling their new flavor, which is, there we go. Well, that's the problem with this low. There we go. Sriracha lime. I've never tried these before. And since I don't typically like spicy foods, I do have some water and a small fire extinguisher nearby. Here we go. Now, just so people know, it is like 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, it's awesome.
Ooh,
That's breakfast going.
I'm going to the big jug. Wow, that's a nice. The lime sort of mellows out the sriracha kick.
Are you selling the ketchup ones down there now as a side business?
I am. They're going over big. Megan was kind enough to ship us 10 gigantic bags of different flavors. So for more info on the company and to order online, you can go to coveredbridgechips.com. Covered Bridge, simple ingredients for easy snacking.
Love it. So
Coming up, we have our first interview of the episode, and we will talk golf, the sport my co-host claims he knows something about. You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, brought to you by the Oat Company and Covered Bridge Chips. Welcome back to Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, sponsored by the Oat Company of St. John's, Newfoundland, and Covered Bridge Chips from right here in Waterville, New Brunswick. Our first guest is Luke Lacey. Luke was born in Calgary, but moved east and is a proud grad of Fredericton High School and St. FX University in Antigonish, Nova Scotia. He was previously director of Golf New Brunswick, where he helped lead the nearly 9,000 golfers in the province spread among its 51 member facilities. Just over 2 years ago, he was named Director of Operations for the Western Pennsylvania Golf Association, which was founded in 1899. So let's welcome in Luke Lacey to talk some golf. Luke, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for hopping on, buddy. Appreciate it.
You worked for Golf New Brunswick for about 3.5 years, including 18 months as executive director, before you left to become director of operations for the Western Pennsylvania Golf Association. So, two-part question to start you out. Did you ever see yourself packing up and moving to the States for work? And now that you are in Pittsburgh, what are your main responsibilities as director of operations?
Yeah, so I always kind of thought maybe at some point it'd be time for a move away from New Brunswick. Been pretty fortunate to travel most of my life with families spread all over the place. I didn't have the US on my radar, let alone Pittsburgh, but came and explored the city a few months before making my move final and just fell in love with the place. So very fortunate to be here and to be working with the WPGA. My role as director of operations, I help with the day-to-day management of the association. I help manage and oversee our scholarship fund and our newly announced foundation. And then I also manage and oversee our communications and our branding. So it's been a really fun move. Pittsburgh is a tremendous city. The people here are amazing. I'll always miss New Brunswick. It's always felt like home to me, but very excited to be here in Pittsburgh for this opportunity.
It is very, very underrated city. Ev.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about some crazy stuff. You get to do a lot, man. I follow your Instagram and all that, and you're posting some pretty wild stories. But back in mid-June, Oakmont hosted the 125th U.S. Open. During the Tuesday practice rounds, you were a starter on number one, and you also attended the final round on Sunday. What were those experiences like? And do you have a few inside tidbits on any of the golfers that you get to see out there?
Yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. It was bucket list for me. So very thankful for our relationship with the USGA and our partnership as an allied golf association, where a lot of our staff and volunteers got to be on the ground at the US Open, which is pretty exciting. So Tuesday was awesome. Getting to meet a lot of the players on the first tee. It was kind of in the moment. There were some scheduled practice rounds, but some guys would just show up. So a couple big names. We had Scotty Scheffler on number one, so there was a massive crowd for that. It was cool to get a little bit of insight into how guys are approaching the course. There's probably at least 5 to 10 players that had never stepped foot on property before that Tuesday. So they were, discussing with their caddies, sight lines, and everything. From an equipment perspective, it sounded like a lot of guys were putting high lofted fairway woods in play. 7 woods are pretty popular on tour
Yes.
right now.
Yeah, I'm a believer, man. It's
There,
changed my
there
life.
was there was a few ping 9 woods in play,
Ooh.
which was I'd never seen before, so that was pretty exciting to see. Had a great conversation with Ryan Fox, who was just coming off his win at the RBC Canadian Open, and was very complimentary of the Golf Canada team, and also TPC Toronto. So that was always nice to hear. And then from a starting perspective, I like to think I did pretty well. I nailed most of the names, especially a lot of our European players. The one that caught me off guard was the last name on the sheet all day was Ryan Gerard. And Freudian slip, I called him Ryan Jared. And the guys on the tee got a good chuckle out of that. Ben Griffin gave me a little bit of a hard time about it, but that was probably the perfect way to cap off the day.
Nice.
Nice. I'll have you announcing on the first tee at the Fall Freeze Up then in October.
Perfect. I'll be there.
How many PGA events have you seen in person? And then which players, Canadian and American, have impressed you lately?
Yeah, I'd say overall it's probably around 5 to 6. Been fortunate to see a few European tour events as well. My time in New Brunswick, Golf Canada was always great with us, inviting us to the Canadian Open and the CPKC Women's Open. Canadian players, I think Nick Taylor is the number one for me right now. I mean, there's a very strong representation of Canadian players on the PGA Tour, LPGA, and even the Corn Ferry with Miles Creighton just coming off of a win, a good Nova Scotian boy.
Yeah.
But I really like Taylor's game. The last few years, he's really progressed. I was fortunate to be on site in 2023 when he won the Canadian Open against Tommy Fleetwood with that 72-foot putt at the Open, which is pretty exciting. So for non-Canadian players coming off of the U.S. Open, Sam Burns, I think, is in a really strong spot. He played well at Oakmont. He didn't quite get, past the finish line as well as he'd liked, I think, but he's trending in the right direction, especially with it being a Ryder Cup year. And I think Justin Thomas too. He's had a really tough go the last little bit with his game, but watching him on the range and watching him in the practice round, you can tell that he's very close to getting back to where I think he wants to be. And he had a great finish last week at the Travelers. So those are two guys I think their game's starting to trend in the right direction at the right time.
All right.
Agree. Yeah, let's talk about like other sports too. Things are changing crazy in sports, like the way they've evolved kind of in our time now with things like the pitch clock in baseball, which I'm a huge fan of. And the explosion of how important the three-pointer is in basketball, which I'm not as much of a fan of. But what are some of the things that you've seen change in golf over the last 10 to 15 years, and do you think they're good?
Yeah, I think, golf has changed so much in that time frame that a lot of things around it that complement the sport itself have had to change. So equipment is the number one thing that comes to mind with, how forgiving these clubs are now and how easy it is for the average golfer to gain distance. I think for the average golfer, that's something that we really need in the sense that if you're not out there practicing all the time and you're just out there to enjoy it, anything you can do to help increase that enjoyment factor is huge. So I think equipment's come a really long way. I think from a rules standpoint, the rules have gotten easier to understand and easier to implement. I know that's a big stance that the R&A has taken with their recent revision in 2023 and the next one coming in a few years. So easier for people to try to understand the rules and then also implement them, whether they're playing, a local game at their club or they're playing in a provincial or a state tournament. And then just to tie into that, I think the handicap system itself. So the World Handicap System was launched in 2020, which basically allows players, whether you're in Canada, the US, Portugal, England, to all play off the same system to make it more equitable and fair for everyone. And nowadays it's easier than ever to actually establish one. So whether you go through your provincial association or your allied golf and state association, you only need a total of 54 holes now to establish a handicap index. So I think we're making the game more accessible in terms of that from a rules and handicapping perspective. And then just the post-COVID boom itself has been incredible. I mean, Evan, you would see it firsthand at a club level, right? But the demand is incredible right now. And I think it's now we're shifting to how do people access the game. So especially from a junior standpoint, we have programs here in similar New Brunswick Youth on Course, First Tee, which are, big contributors to providing access to everyone. But the game is changing, and from a state perspective and a provincial perspective and even a club perspective, we're just trying to see how we can all fit in and keep up with the demand.
Now, do you still play competitive golf? And if so, I'm sure you do, but what's your handicap?
So right now I play off a 5.9. I was very humbled when I moved to Western Pennsylvania and experienced the greens that we have here compared to playing in New Brunswick. I don't think I've played on undulations like this ever before in my life, and especially with the green speeds that we have. So I'd play a few tournaments every year, but for the most part, I just try to get out as much as I can when we're not at events or in the office.
Now, what are some of your favorite Canadian courses that you've played?
That's a hard one for sure. I think I'll always be loyal to the Fredericton Golf Club. I grew up playing there, grew up working there. Will always hold a special place in my heart. Another one I think on the East Coast would probably be Cabot Cliffs. Tremendous, part of the Cabot brand and Cabot Arsenal. And then if I could push it to a top four, I would go to Highland Links. And then I would also add the Algonquin in there too, which also holds a very special place in my heart. So I look forward every year to coming back for the fall freeze. It's, forever a weekend on my calendar that I make time for.
I see. Well, if you hadn't have just dropped us in your top four, you were going to be scratched.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was for the best.
Yeah, no, smart business move.
And lastly, before we let you get out of here, what's Evan's game like?
Evan's a pretty solid player. I've been fortunate to play with him the last number of years in kind of our end of the year tournament at the Algonquin. So Evan's a long bomber, and when that flat stick gets hot, he can start rolling the rock. So I would mention that at one point last year during our tournament, I was the longest driver in the group. So I don't want to let Evan forget that or Harv at all. So
no, we never will. I think you have it actually in a plaque in here somewhere.
Perfect. I was going to ask if the plaque was put on the course yet, but maybe we'll wait here.
It is. There's a local Costco going between our two drives.
Perfect.
Always got to keep an eye on a scorecard. I know that much.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have an eraser.
Well, he is Luke Lacey, Director of Operations for the Western PA Golf Association. You can find out more about the organization by going to wpga.org. And Luke, Evans told me about you. Thanks so much for coming on the show. This is great.
Yeah, thanks for your time, guys. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. And we'll see you in a few months.
All right. Take care.
And after the break, we'll talk about a great summer music festival being held on Cape Breton Island on Small Town Spotlight. You're watching Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV in St. Andrews, brought to you by the Oat Company of St. John's, Newfoundland, and Covered Bridge Chips from
There we
Waterville,
go.
New Brunswick. Welcome back to Mc&T Sports Report, brought to you by the Oat Company and Covered Bridge Chips. No matter where you live in Canada, the summer is always known for its wide variety of great music festivals. And taking place August 14th to 16th in Sydney, Nova Scotia, is a relatively new event called Rock the Fiddle, now in its third year. Billed as Cape Breton's biggest summer party, the 3-day event takes place at the Sydney waterfront. And to tell us more about the event, let's meet the organizer and promoter of Rock the Fiddle, Jerry Holland Jr. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Joe, thanks very much for having me.
All right, now you're born in Nova Scotia, and after a few stops around the island and a move out west, you moved back to Cape Breton Island in 2014. Is this your full-time job, and how long have you been organizer of the event?
Joe, I've moved back home to make a home here in Cape Breton, where everybody's, I guess, dream is to be on the island and back home and doing what you love. This is not my full-time gig, but it is a full-time gig with other concerts and festivals around the island, and basically like a mentor or conference holder across Canada with different festivals and organizations.
Now, why is it called Rock the Fiddle? Because it's not per se a fiddle event.
It's not a fiddle event, but once you go down to our waterfront, Sydney's waterfront in Cape Breton, we have the world's tallest fiddle
Wow.
sitting in our dock. And so everything was based around the fiddle, the waterfront, the cruise ships. They all came into Sydney for the biggest fiddle in the world.
Nice.
So it was like I said, it was Rock the Dock initially, and then we changed it up and changed to Rock the Fiddle.
Okay. And it's held rain or shine.
It's held rain or shine, and knowing Cape Breton, we're used to 4 seasons in one day. So we can get blistering rocks in the morning and snow in the afternoon, and cold fall in the evening and rain at night. So it it really is rain or shine. There's no way around it. But like I said, knowing Cape Breton Islanders, they're ready to party in no matter what weather.
Nice. Now, give us a couple acts that maybe people haven't heard of, but that you're high on.
Locally right now, we're focused on the local community in Atlantic Canada, musicians. Ones that people may have not have heard of would be Elise Aaron, who is a rock. It's like a mix of Fleetwood Mac with rock and roll. Like really identifies herself. She came across a tour of Canada, just coming back, and she'll be hitting the stage of Rock the Fiddle. That's a name that you really want to check out. Um, Pretty Archie boys. They've been around for a few years, but that's a name that I don't think quite made it into the U.S. So they're touring all the time in Canada. Over in Denmark, they did the Tundra Festival, and other festivals over there as well. So yeah, those artists would be the main ones to look into locally.
Now, Elise Aaron, to show you our musical knowledge, we have a music spotlight every couple episodes, and probably 2 years ago, we spotlighted Elise Aaron. She had the song East Coast Winter.
Oh wow, yeah,
That came out, and I just
yeah.
randomly, I don't know if I heard on CBC or somewhere. Now, also new this year to Rock the Fiddle is something you call the VIP pass. Now, what does that get you different from just a general admission?
So we've always had a VIP pass. This year, what has changed? We have uh, it's pivoting because of a last minute cruise ship. So once the cruise ship is docked, we are not allowed on the grounds. So that's environmental safety, everything like that. So our first night has now become a VIP exclusive, where only VIPs would be able to go to a local venue indoors, and basically have like a red carpet event. So red carpet, go in, have food, drinks, everything paid for under one umbrella. So one price. A VIP pass would get you for $99 or $269 for the weekend. Is a exclusive event only for you guys to come, have drinks, have food, listen to amazing music. From one of the hottest bands coming out of Cape Breton right now is Rankin McGuinness and the Broken Reeds. Great traditional to rock and roll to anything you want party band that everybody loves to go see. And then Friday, Saturday, you get your own dedicated VIP line into our entrance at the dock. You go to our VIP tent. Now, the tent is only used approximately for half the size of the certain VIP area. But that tent will provide you with shade if it's raining or sunshine. Like I said, four seasons in Cape Breton, so it'll only seat about 300 people, but it's for food, sit down, anything like that. And then if you want to go out to party by the state, then you still can. You also have your own bathrooms. Food is provided, drinks are provided. So yeah, it's a full around. Just once you get there, you forget about everything.
Yeah, good, good.
Yeah.
I think I've made a career out of crashing VIP areas, but
Yes, I think I may have indulged myself in a few events like that.
now we're a little short on time. But quickly, tell me about your dad, who's got quite a history in music.
Yes, so my father, Jerry Holland, he was a fiddle player from Boston, to be specific, Brockton, Massachusetts. His parents used to come to Cape Breton Island very quite frequently, and summer vacations as a kid, coming up to see the fiddle players and be surrounded by the music here in Cape Breton, with the likes of Winston Scotty Fitzgerald, John Allen Cameron, and also the connection from Massachusetts to Cape Breton as well as Bill Lamy. So Bill Lamy used to travel with my parents, or my grandparents, and my father up here quite a bit for summer vacations, and that became a hit for my father. He came here in 1975, bought a one-room schoolhouse in northern Cape Breton, and made it. Yeah, and that's where he was, and traveled all across Canada, the U.S., Denmark, Germany, and I think he passed away in 2009. And I think there's probably a couple of shrines in the States and and Denmark, based around his music and the love of his fiddle playing.
Very cool, very
Yeah.
cool. All right, and before we get you out of here, we always ask our guests on Small Town Spotlight to give us their favorite non-chain restaurant in the area. So give us your choice for Sydney, Nova Scotia.
City, Nova Scotia, their number one spot to go to get great food, great atmosphere, and local music every night is going to be Governor's. Governor's Pub and Eatery, just minutes down the road from Rock the Fiddle. They give you a taste of Cape Breton every time you go there.
Now, I've heard the seafood chowder is amazing, although in perusing their menu online, I did not see a Rock the Fiddle burger, so we need to get working on that, you know?
We, that would be a great idea, and I'm sure that he'll come up with something for us.
There you go. Well, he is Jerry Holland Jr., organizer and promoter for Rock the Fiddle, which will be held August 14th through 16th at the Sydney waterfront in Sydney, Nova Scotia on gorgeous Cape Breton Island. To find out more about the festival and to purchase tickets, you can go to rockthefiddleevents.com, where you can also find links to their Instagram and Facebook pages. And Jerry, thanks so much for coming on the show, and best of luck on a successful 2025 event.
Thank you very much for having me, Joe, and all the best with your program here with Small Town Spotlight.
And we are back. And a few weeks after this episode airs, which will be late July, I will be gracing your friendly shores as we'll be having our basketball by the sea camps at Sir James Dunn Academy in St. Andrews.
Yes.
Both sessions, believe it or not, sold out 2 months in advance. And as you know, we've added a week in Prince Edward Island. Brandon Sherrod, the summer mayor of St. Andrews, as I call him, will be joining me once again, as will my good friend, Mr. Vinny Cianferrani, and his wife and daughter. And Evan, I expect you to pop into camp and say hello and show off that Kareem Sky hook.
Absolutely. That's all I've got, so I have to make it count.
There we go. Well, we are out of time, believe it or not. So that's it for episode 85 of Mc&T Sports Report. I'm Joe in New Haven.
I'm Evan here in St. Andrews.
Thanks to Patrick Watt and Florence Mitchell for producing and editing our show, but more importantly, for paying for my hotel room in advance at the Algonquin and next month. That was quite nice of you. You didn't really have to upgrade me to a suite, but we'll take it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all they had left.
And thanks to the Oat Company from St. John's, Newfoundland, and our newest sponsor, Covered Bridge Chips of Heartland, for sponsoring our show. This is Mc&T Sports Report on CHCO-TV, and I'll see you all on the mean streets of St. Andrews in a few weeks.